This is Behind the Saber, a student-run podcast that shows the real family at Benedictine College Preparatory.
Welcome to Behind the Saber, a student-run podcast where we connect the students, faculty, staff at BCP. Today we've got a special guest, class of 24 BC, Clint Ellison. How are you feeling today?
Feeling good. It's been a long day.
Yes, sir. It's been a long day. It's been a week of, or at least we had one day off, so that was good. But it's Friday now. Yeah, how was formation? Everything was going down good, BC?
It was hot, hotter than usual.
Hotter than usual?
Mm-hmm.
And for many people out there, I know the cadets at least, we understand your title. What would you say to the people who may not know what battalion commander is?
Yeah, so Benedictine runs like any other senior military college, but as a high school, like VMI, the Citadel, any Corps of Cadets, freshmen start out, they can't get anything above corporal, and the only opportunity they have to gain rank is through competitions called Cadet of the Month and Cadet of the Quarter. As a sophomore, you're a squad leader. You inspect a squad of around 6 each morning.
I was one of them.
Mm-hmm. And then junior year, you apply to be a junior NCO, and that's where the administration and the higher level senior officers start to see who can replace them the next year. And then as a senior at the end of the year, a comprehensive process. There's a board of administrators, the battalion commander and the XO. We all make recommendations, and ultimately, and ultimately, Coach Smith, the headmaster, decides who will be the senior officers for the next year.
I mean, you survived it all and thrived through it. I mean, look at all those medals. Did you have a favorite position?
My favorite junior position was headquarters company first sergeant. It was definitely one of the big things for me here at Benedictine has been doing things that make me uncomfortable. I did the speech contest all 3 years. I was horrible my freshman year. I got wasn't even top 3, maybe number 5. My sophomore year I was 3rd, and junior year I was 1st. Slowly getting better in the classroom. Academics have improved. And also that in a military aspect, yelling at your peers, especially the senior privates who don't really want to be here anymore.
Right. And that's what HQ company
That's headquarters company is the company where all the senior privates go. It was extremely difficult, extremely challenging, but it was a rewarding experience, even though I dreaded doing it every day.
And you just said doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable. That's a mentality. And could you maybe credit that to Benedictine, to what that curriculum, waking up at 7, you need a shave, you need a haircut, you need to be right on Monday morning. Do you think that played any part into it?
Absolutely. Benedictine, especially for me, is a naturally introverted person. Benedictine is the reason that I've achieved what I've been able to. Any other environment other than Benedictine, I wouldn't be where I am today.
I credit a lot to the school as well. But you could think back. Freshman year, I could tell myself I was introverted as well. Now, before you came to BCP, did you want to come here?
It was never, the middle school I went to is also a high school. No one leaves my middle school where I went to. You stay all the way through 6 to a senior. Then in the 7th grade, which is the year I decided I wanted to go into the military one day, and I wanted to go to an academy. I also knew that if I'm going to be able to do that, I need to have more of a Spartan lifestyle type environment at Benedictine.
Right.
Because I knew the way I was then as a 7th grader, meek, out of shape, not wanting to talk to many people. Benedictine was what I needed. I also needed an opportunity to take more APs and be around more people that think like me. And because of Benedictine, I've grown in my faith, and that's not something that I would have gotten at my middle school.
Right. That is incredible to attest to a high school. I know I didn't want to go to the school. The military aspect, I was like, oh my gosh, right? But and then the brotherhood, everybody kept talking about the brotherhood. I was like, yeah, right. But now that I come here, the brotherhood is so, it's actually strong. I feel comfortable with every single classmate in every class, talking like we're family. Mm-hmm. It really is something here, and that's the shaping that you felt, which is also a goal here, right?
And if, like you said with the brotherhood, There's been a lot of late nights. I've taken a lot of APs. Obviously, you don't have to, but that's what I chose to do. A lot of times, you know, if I'm struggling staying awake while I'm driving, I always have somebody to call.
Right.
No matter what hour it is, early in the morning, late at night,
Yeah.
there's always somebody from Benedictine to call, to talk to.
They're always there to help a hand whenever they're available to.
Mhm.
Really.
Yeah.
Now you have some pretty interesting extracurriculars. You
I
could
do.
say.
Very
I'm gonna bring up one of them. You're a licensed pilot. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
So I knew I wanted to be a pilot
Right.
starting in the 7th grade. So 6 years ago, roughly. This is when I also decided I wanted to go to the Air Force Academy. And it was all because the admissions liaison officer for the Air Force Academy, Lieutenant Colonel Rojas, decided to drop by our middle school and give us a talk. So that's when I knew. At the time, I was young. Obviously, I can't solo a powered aircraft when I'm in the 7th grade.
And excuse me, but that's an incredible story because you got accepted into the Air Force Academy. Is that correct?
Yes, I did.
Congratulations on
Thank
that.
you.
But that's great to have that connection from 7th grade. I want to do this, and you fulfill it.
Yes. And what's even cooler is right after 7th grade, I decided, what can I do now to make me the best pilot possible, to have the best career? So I looked into gliding, soaring. There's an airfield in Amelia called the Amelia County Aerodrome. You can solo as young as 14 in a glider.
Wow.
So that's what I did. I went and I flew. And for anyone that doesn't know, a sailplane or a glider, it's a plane without an engine, very long wings, and you find the thermals, which is heat rising from the ground, warm air rising from the ground. You look for birds, smoke, clouds. You go under them and you circle, and you can get up over 10,000 feet. And I have before. And at the Air Force Academy, they have a soaring team.
Yeah.
Because I have my gliding experience, I can even become an instructor pilot for gliding at the Air Force Academy in the mountains. So the thermals are much better there than they are here.
Like, do you have maybe a funny mishap from your 4 years going to BCP?
The one that always comes to mind, and I've never forgotten it. We were in the gym for Veterans Day review, which we've never done again. That was unique to my freshman year. Everything was weird, as you know, that year.
Right.
Masks,
Yep.
all the events were jacked up. We couldn't go to any games. We couldn't go to any of the core events.
Yep.
But in particular, in our formations, the battalion commander, after the CSM, the command sergeant major, receives the report from all the companies, says post. And the first sergeant of each company goes back, and the company commanders and the platoon leaders, so the senior officers come up.
Yeah.
Each company has what's called a guidon bearer, which is a freshman that stands in the front, doesn't move the entire time.
They hold that flag.
They hold the flag. Well, when they said post Veterans Day review, I did a right face and went behind the company because for some reason,
Veterans Day review.
I don't know why, but I was horrified and I couldn't get over it. I couldn't get over it.
Now, did you do like a little went back? Did you think about it? Or
I fully went behind the company.
you committed?
And then walked all the way, and I marched back up to try to make it look like I meant to do it.
So you did the full circle.
I did a full circle.
I hope nobody noticed, right?
The people definitely noticed,
They noticed.
but no one remembers it now except for me.
Well, now we all.
Yeah.
Now, here's another thing, coming off of freshman year.
Mhm.
You went through orientation, and then you got to oversee just about the whole orientation process. How was your freshman experience, and did that go into play with your planning for this year's orientation?
Last 3 years, especially freshman year, I've taken note of what could be improved from orientation. COVID really did not give us the full experience that we could have gotten. And ever since then, the bar was set pretty low because of that. And it's been building back up. I've taken note of what was bad, what we need to fix. And so this year, once I got the rank, I knew that the job was just starting. A lot of people look at senior rank as once you get it, you're done. You've achieved your goal.
Yep.
A BC can't look at it that way. And if they do, they're going to be a horrible battalion commander. What I've tried to do is involve all 34 of us, all 18 sponsoring officers, all 16 lieutenants. As you know, every day we had a day where a certain company would have to come early for orientation. The freshmen had to get there early. Morning orientation every weekend.
And do you see almost the structure that you made and created for us will help you in your Air Force career?
Yes, so being accepted into the Air Force Academy, it's free. You get a stipend each month, but in exchange for that, you are going to be an officer in the Air Force. And as a pilot, you have a 13-year minimum service commitment, but you're not flying for all of those 13 years. As you get higher in rank, you're an officer first and a pilot second. So I can become a squadron commander, which is the equivalent of a battalion commander. And I'm going to be needing to learn how to motivate my flight commanders over my company commanders. It all translates into my career field. The number one thing that being battalion commander has taught me, I've always been able to grind and work hard on my own, but being a squadron commander, battalion commander, brigade commander isn't about just being able to, you can be the best worker on your own. It's about being able to utilize all the people around you, your XO, operations, security, and actually using them. Because when you delegate, you can get so much more done. Even if their work isn't as good as you would do it, you can get so much more done and accomplish so much more.
And that is exactly the mentality I think you emplaced in the orientation finale and orientation in general this year.
Yeah, as a note on orientation finale, orientation finale will go down is the hardest thing I've had to do about it.
The hardest thing you've ever done.
It was harder than it was harder than going through it, in my opinion, because it was 2 full days of no sleep, 2 sleepless nights, because I wanted to make sure. So the way I'll lay it out, and you were there, so you know, we had 3 night shifts a night.
Right.
We planned it strategically so the freshmen couldn't get into REM cycle. So we put them to bed at 11. They had about an hour. We wake them up again. And then they'd have about an hour. We wake them up again. And then again. So it was just as difficult for the officers there as it was for the freshmen. But sometimes people oversleep their alarms. People on the first night, maybe not a smart move, decided to just stay up for all 3. And the first night went extremely well. Times were hit, all the plans were executed, the freshmen were exhausted, and then the issue came the second night. That's like any race I've ever done in track.
The sleep exhaustion kicked in.
Yeah, it's like the 3rd lap in a mile. It's like the March or April in a year of school.
Yeah.
It's no one wanted to do anything. So after that first shift, I mean, officers were falling asleep, standing, leaning against trees. It was hard. And what I knew was this was one case when if I was going to be able to get this done, I needed to be able to take care of myself as well. So again, looking back on that, I didn't take care of myself. I stayed up for 2 full nights, and the last day, because we had no football game. In the past, there's always been a football game they go to, and that takes up a large portion of the last day. We, on the other hand, had no football game, so we had 3 full days of planning we had to do. And that day after the second night was brutal. And because I stayed up 2 full nights, I felt the effects of that on the second
and then
third day.
You had to take that out on the freshmen?
Yeah, so looking back on it, again, I had done all this learning to delegate. And in that instance, I failed. And I faced the consequences. I made it out barely. And it went well. The freshmen were cheering when they finished. But looking back on that, I'm never going to do that again in my career, because I need to know to trust the XO, trust the adjutant.
Now, as a final question, Clint, you have any advice for any future freshmen?
Yeah, of course I do. The biggest thing for me was getting my name out there. You have to jump on every single opportunity that you get, whether it's Cadet of the Month, individual drill, platoon drill, squad drill, the speech contest, anything you can possibly do. You need to do it. You don't need to be super smart. You don't need to be super extroverted. You don't need to be a legacy. What's important is that you get your name out there. And once you get your name out, you're going to get chosen for positions. Join every club you can, but not only join each club, you need to be a leader of each club. And that's how you're going to succeed here at Benedictine.
Yeah, I think that goes to almost your mantra, right, which was put yourself in uncomfortable situations. all of that is uncomfortable to me, right?
Yes.
And it was for you too to get to become the battalion commander of ECP. But I want to thank you for coming on to Beyond the Saber.
Thank you, Jake.
And we'll see y'all next time.